This episode involves an Arduino-based DHCP tester that can be used to verify that a port is issuing an IP address or determine the VLAN assigned to a port. You plug in the Ethernet cable and plug in the 9-volt supply. It goes out, tries to determine if an IP address is available, and if it does find one, it'll display it. This one is on VLAN 1 on our network. We then switch over to VLAN 2 and it refines a different IP address. We then switch the port to VLAN 3 and it goes and tests and finds a different IP address in VLAN 3's range. Then we'll switch to VLAN 4. It'll find an IP address in the VLAN 4 range. Then we'll switch to VLAN 5. And it finds an IP in that range. And finally, we'll switch to the voice over IP range for our network. And now back to VLAN 1. The assembly of the DHCP tester involves an Arduino Uno that can fasten with 2 screws to the base of the 3D printed case. The Ethernet shield plugs into the Arduino Uno, and the pins provide all the connections necessary for the Ethernet connector. Then there are 4 lines connecting the Uno to the LCD screen. The lid to the case slides over the top and 2 screws hold the lid in place. And finally, the 9-volt battery slides into the slot for it. And plugging it in is the switch for the power to start testing. The wiring diagram involves 4 wires. The red 5-volt goes to the VCC of the LCD, the brown ground to ground, the orange A4 goes to SDA, and the yellow A5 goes to SCL. The Arduino code, there are some comments at the top of the code, shows the URLs for a couple sites that were used as resources. We first set up the I2C LCD, the wire library and liquid crystal I2C library are needed to define our 16-character by 2-line display. The Ethernet setup involves the SPI library and Ethernet library. You define a MAC address and it has a default fallback IP address. The void setup is not needed. The void loop starts by going out to try to find an IP address. If one is found, it then calls the print IP address subroutine. The print IP address subroutine initializes the LCD, backlights it, sets the cursor on line 0, position 3, prints the word IP address and colon. Then on line 1, position 2, prints the IP address, waits 5 seconds, and does it all again.